The following announcement has been paid for by nobody in particular. Hey, this is Doc. This is a new series I'm doing, and I wanted to introduce you to The State of Wrestling, presented by The Prescription. And this will be a more current events based program, and I hope you enjoy it. And I know I've done this show a couple of times already, but this is the first time I want to add a little statement about it. Thank you so much, and please don't be a loser. Hello, 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 and this is Doc, aka Boozer Bulgogi, aka the Perfect Tenryu, aka Sticky Choshu, aka the Big Boss Manong, aka Yan Yan Bigelow, aka Big Scran Veda, aka your host. And with me today I have someone that I like to bring on from time to time. He's a proud cat dad. He's from the Chicagoland area. He is, of course, Kimbap Bundy, aka Y2Chae. How you doing, man?
Hey, Doc. Doing good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, man. It's been a while, to quote a song that I really like, and I just think like it's pretty fun to do this state of wrestling stuff, and I thought like, who better to do this with than my friend Che here? Because we host the best episodic Asian American podcast in America about pro wrestling. So yeah, man. There's been a lot of news, and out of respect, because I think everybody's been doing this, but I think we could do this like from a different perspective. But big news, so much big news this week, and I think we'll start out with the most jarring news. Brock Lesnar has been brought back to World Wrestling Entertainment, and in the midst of the Vince McMahon lawsuit, in the midst of all the Trump allyship, in the midst of all that, we've had a couple of people say really stupid things. For example, we had Paul Heyman say, "You can't cancel Brock Lesnar," and we had people say that he's been cleared by legal. We had Booker T said that his name's been cleared completely. And the moment I heard that meow, I just started busted up laughing, because like what Brock Lesnar returning signals is not just this return of Brock Lesnar. It's sort of them trying to wash and bring back Vince McMahon. And they've been trying to do that. Vince McMahon was all over the Hulk Hogan tributes. If you see recently, Vince McMahon actually was in public for the Hulk Hogan funeral, which, whatever, people go to funerals. But he's actually going to be interviewed for a Fox special on Hulk Hogan. And, Fox, the Trump administration, all that, it's all a lot of like, people coming together and doing all that. And it personally, it makes no sense to me as far as like, as a wrestling fan. Like, Brock Lesnar did not get cleared. Let's make this like 100, keep it 100, because like the trial has not even like started yet. There's nothing that's been happening. There's been like no real discovery into it, and making a run in, ladies and gentlemen, we got SPF 100. We got Sean, aka the Booty Man. How you doing, man?
Booty man. I do like a good pair of boots in the winter. I will admit that.
Yeah, man. I was opening the show discussing the return of one Brock Lesnar, and about like so he has not been cleared in court about anything. I guess like WWE legal department has dubbed it fine that he's back, and I think this is all part of an attempt of the return of Vince McMahon. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, there's nothing that Brock's ever going to be cleared for. He's not really in the suit, and it's a civil thing against Vince. So,
there's no.
I mean, I'm sure that's going to be their logic. Well, he's not on charge. He's not charged with anything. There's no lawsuits against him. He's named a loss in someone's complaint, is all, and. We all know that that's a bullshit sort of reasoning, but I'm sure that if anyone did find the balls to ask them about it, that would be a big part of their logic for why it's okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people have come out like and said brazen things in both ways. Like all I'm saying is he's named in a civil lawsuit where allegedly he solicited a person for prostitution and allegedly did all this stuff. I don't want to get sued. Allegedly. And like to bring someone back where it's just allegations, I guess like the thing is if you don't sell it, then the audience won't sell it, because he's not in any real legal trouble. Like to just call a spade a spade. He's named in a civil lawsuit, not a criminal lawsuit. Now, like, as far as like morally or whatever, this is TKO. They just decided to bring back Conor McGregor to fight on the White House card. And he also had a civil lawsuit where he lost, and he had to pay the victim restitution. But the president loves standing next to people accused of sexual misdeeds. I mean, last week, for the announcement of the presidential fitness test, what a farce! They had Triple H, WWE Hall of Famer, WWE CEO of WWE, stand up there with registered sex offender and WrestleMania main eventer Lawrence Taylor. So, yeah, guys. What are your guys' takes?
Yeah, what this ultimately is it's TKO saying we don't give a fuck. We're gonna do whatever we want to do, and no one's gonna stop us, and we're not gonna face any consequences. And until they face any consequences, they're right. I mean, days after Brock Lesnar appeared, they announced over $1 billion deal with ESPN.
Yeah, 1.6 billion with the ESPN, a subsidiary of Disney, and that's no joke. They Netflix, I guess, and Peacock, I guess they didn't really have a bid on this stuff, so them going with ESPN makes sense because of all the previous relationship that Disney had with UFC and putting their pay-per-views on the ESPN Plus. But I think this is different because they are going to have their own streaming service. I'm not sure if that's ESPN Plus related, but they said that if you have the cable channel, you would be able to get this service.
Oh yeah, it will be a separate streaming service just called ESPN. It will not be ESPN Plus.
Yeah,
it will be $29.99 a month. And what it gives you will be everything that's on the linear networks will be on it. Because currently ESPN Plus only has a few, select things that the linear networks show. But this app will show everything that's on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN, whatever other ESPN channels there are, and ESPN on ABC. And then obviously exclusive content such as the WWE stuff that they just acquired.
And speaking of other things, I think it was also announced that ESPN had purchased a stake, a stake by NFL. Was
10%?
A percentage, right? The percentage of the NFL owns ESPN.
No, the NFL purchased 10% of ESPN.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the coverage is going to be pretty funny because I think they said there's going to be advertisements within shows for WWE. They're going to find new ad streams because I guess they're going to get more ad money because I guess they're getting nothing from Peacock, and I think they're not really getting anything from Netflix. I think Netflix pockets all the money they get from those advertisements for Raws. So
which makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's like pretty interesting. We talk about like how cold WWE is as far as like the attendance. I mean, they sold like 100,000 tickets for SummerSlam, which is pretty impressive. I mean, those are the work numbers. I don't know what the shoot numbers are gonna be, but like just to kind of fill out an arena and all that, they've sort of been sort of a thriving live attendance show, as opposed to like it being like a pay-per-view based business, which with the ESPN deal, it looks like they're going to try to go back to that kind of thing. But you have over like, I think it's been 11 years since the birth of the WWE network. So for over 11 years, they've trained their fans that paying anything above $9.99 to watch a WWE pay-per-view is stupid. I remember I remember Michael Cole going through the smartphone and doing it like every 15 minutes on those Raws.
Yeah, as of now though, it's it's not going to be like UFC. There's no actual additional upcharge.
Yeah.
Watch the pay-per-views. Right now, you could get them for just the $29.99 flat monthly fee, but it is a big price increase because what standard Peacock is what $7.99 I think.
Yeah, $7.99, and then it went up a little bit. It went up like
$12 or $13.99 for the ad-free premium setup.
Yeah, so and I think like Peacock losing out on that, and I think they're also losing like you said, they're losing the linear WWE network, so that all that content might be switching to that ESPN app, and who knows whatever. And like content is king, and of course, like I think Nick Khan said, we're in the content business, we're not in the wrestling business. So I think it's pretty interesting at that point, and I don't know like many fans that would spend that $30, or how many fans still have ESPN on cable to be able to just like subscribe to this.
Well, that's the thing is, right, like they're saying right now that certain cable companies are bundling it in so that if you have ESPN in your cable subscription, you will get this service.
Yeah.
And I know we did some back of the envelope math on it, and it looked like about 40 million people are subscribers to the various companies that were listed.
Yeah.
Which excludes like the biggest one, Xfinity, Comcast. But so I mean, you're looking at about a base equal to what Peacock has right now, around 40 million or so subscribers.
So, and these are people that they're not even going to know they have it, or if they do, they'll probably get it in the email. By the way, you have access to the ESPN app.
If they can't get the Comcast deal done, that's a big issue because Comcast, I don't know if it's number one, but I don't think it's any lower than the number two cable provider.
Yeah, Comcast is around 32 million subscribers at last count that was made public.
Yeah,
so I mean that would have been a major get for them, because that gets you up to like almost full cable penetration, add in DirecTV. I mean, you're at a nice number there.
Yeah.
I think the thing for WWE that they're banking on is that ESPN is not the kind of thing, is something that people would buy for multiple reasons if they haven't already. I mean, they're not I don't think ESPN is banking on the idea that they're going to get an influx of WWE fans who are willing to pay just to get the pay-per-views.
I think it's mostly subscribers.
It's something that can be folded in.
Yeah.
I mean, that they're banking on it just being the hope is just an overwhelming amount of content and something for everybody. But I think the thing that's interesting here is no one is really mentioning the fact that Peacock, who knows how many people exactly were watching all of these pay-per-view events, had no interest in trying to keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they didn't even make a token offer to at least like make a competitor spend a little more or something, that combined with what we're seeing from Netflix about the lack of worldwide interest in the PLE events, it does not sound like it's an extremely strong product in that regard.
Yeah, I just think like I'm surprised they got that much. 1.6 billion for streaming rights of the PLEs and of the linear network. That's I don't really see the value in WWE, but I guess like it's a brand name, and I guess they could try to sell it as a brand name. I mean, people do attend it, but the numbers on Netflix and the numbers on Peacock aren't really, things to like celebrate. If I'm being honest, it's just I believe that this is all just like it's not about like making money. It's about like keeping your subscribers. That's what I feel like, because the streaming business is still like people aren't really making money hand over fist on it.
They're still losing money mostly, except for like Netflix.
Yeah, except for Netflix. Even like HBO, people say like HBO is the most successful one, or like the one with like the user base that's growing, but they're still not really making anything. So
Peacock is still a loss leader.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like literally when I was looking up to try and find like subscriber numbers, the most recent information, there was an article from like May, said Peacock, they're excited, they're great, they're happy, they've expanded their user base to 41 million subscribers. Last quarter, they only posted a $30 million loss or whatever the number was.
Pennies on the dollar for losing 30 million.
I think to Sean's point, not only did Peacock bid for it, but the other major recent media rights partner, WWE, Netflix, didn't bid on the American rights to these premium live events.
Yeah,
so
it's so weird that the American Netflix didn't want it, huh?
In that sense, I could see Netflix not wanting to commit more money to WWE, but I don't know if WWE, if Raw was doing gangbusters for them in America, you would think they would have had some interest, and I think there's been some whispers by people, notably Dave Meltzer, who he's estimating the Raw viewership has lowered to around 1.2 million weekly for domestic views in America.
Which 1.4 was kind of like what they were getting on USA Network, and that's kind of what they're getting for SmackDown nowadays. So it's like they lost their viewer. Like what about like 1 million viewers that they were getting on Fox Weekly, right? That's how much they were getting, like 2.4, 2.3 as the average or something.
It was usually in the high ones, low twos.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to like just going all in on like just being on a streaming platform is kind of still a little bit crazy for me. Maybe that's my old guy brain, but like if people are willing to spend the money on them, why not? Like, what does WWE have to lose? I mean, they're cold right now, but they're making money. They're making a stupid amount of money. And whether that be these TV deals, these streaming deals, or like those paid shows with Saudi, I think they make like 40 million per show or something like that. It's like this company keeps failing upwards. And like no matter like how bad the PR sounds, like them partnering up, showing Donald Trump on their pay-per-view or their premium live event, and him getting booed by an audience that bought tickets to go there, who knew that they were already like in the same, they're all in the same basket. So People want to make a whole big deal about like stuff like uh, if people really cared, why are they watching it? People watch stuff because they watch it. People are gonna watch things they don't agree with politically. You'll have Christian people watch South Park, right? Devout Christian people are gonna watch South Park and laugh their asses off. So like liberal people are gonna watch WWE because they love watching WWE, regardless of who's backing them, of who's like, compared to them. So like people like, kind of like doing the virtue signaling thing about like how dare the CM Punk and Sami Zayn say they're standing against all this tyranny and then work for a company that works for as a propaganda arm of the Trump administration. I'm just saying like, well, I mean, that's who's putting money in their pockets. If Sami wanted to leave, fans, he would have left.
Yeah, these fans have. I mean, a lot of them are all just all talk. They complain about politics and stuff. They continue watching, and until any business drastically change, TK is going to keep doing this stuff because they've proven they can get away with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's why, like you said, they'll probably bring back Vince, and nothing will happen.
Yeah, and like, there's all this talk about the UFC doing a show on the White House lawn, right? How close are they to doing a double bill with a WWE show the next week or the next night? I mean, it's all right there. Donald Trump's a WWE Hall of Famer. What's stopping them from doing that? And then you get in the history books by saying you're the first wrestling show to be performed at the White House. Why not? And like, I guess some people would say like, I think they like come down like on those kind of views like, man, that sucks. You guys are so cynical and how dare you? Well, it's like, they're making money. That's all that they're about. Like, I could say it's gross, but like, it's gonna keep going on, and they're gonna keep making money, and they're probably gonna get more kickbacks, and then UFC is gonna really benefit from them trying to rescind the Ali Act, which is kind of disgusting. And it's just like, what can you do? All you can do is like sort of like for Brock Lesnar coming back and hitting like the F5 on John Cena. All you can do is like laugh. And
right now it's very disheartening, perhaps, because it does seem like they're a company that's sort of at a point of near invincibility, no pun intended. But what they've been doing the last few years has been moves that slowly siphon off your fan base, overpricing tickets, driving away, even if it's a small fraction of your fan base, even if only a few people, and if it's just the breaking point for some people who are like, you know what, I'm already kind of bored with it. Honestly, that's what happened to me with UFC. I didn't stop watching UFC solely because Dana White has his lips planted firmly on Donald Trump's ass. There were lots of other things that had already been pushing me away from the product, but that was that last thing I needed to say, you know what, there's 8 million other things I can do with my time. And I'm sure that there's going to be people like that for WWE, but what's different is in the past, wrestling's always had that boom bust cycle. No matter who it is, what company, where in the world, goes up, it goes down. As kids age out of it, then the new generation comes in. And so there's not really that sense that, well, if we lose any fans, we're doomed. Because there's always going to be that next wave. What they've been doing, though, in the last few years is paywalling that off. So what's going to happen when they hit that non-boom, when this generation of kids stops enjoying eating and all of that? Who's going to come in and fill that when all these contracts are up in 5 years? This is great right now for WWE and TKO. They're making money hand over fist. But, and I know this is a strange thing to say that a company in this capitalist America might do, they might be looking at short-term gain over long-term concerns.
And I think that, effectively, WWE is basically kind of owned by private equity, if you think about it, right? Because if they're owned by Endeavor, or TKO is owned by Endeavor, right?
They're owned by Endeavor. So they're moving to a private company as opposed to being public. and I think that's going to be able for them to get way more money under the table than what they report. And like,
well, they don't even have to report money anymore.
Yeah, they
That's
don't
the
have
thing.
to.
There's no requirement
no
for them to do
consequences.
any sort of reporting. There's no 10Cs.
Yeah.
They are a private company. If Saudi Arabia wants to give them $500 million a year, no one needs to know about it. The only time that anything comes out is when it's tied to a public entity, like a tax write-off from a state or a city.
Yeah.
So their finances are essentially going to be all guesses, except for those things that are publicly reported by the other side of the deal, essentially.
Yeah. A TKO, I should point out, is still public, but if you go up the corporate chain, the parent company of all this is Silver Lake, which is a private equity company, and I think the plan is to squeeze WWE and their revenue stream for every last dollar they can in a short-term gain. And I don't think they care about the long term. And I think when that time comes, if WWE is like a depressed brand, I think they'll sell it.
Yeah,
after they squeeze everything out.
I feel like that's the plan based on all these actions. It seems like they're trying to get all these big deals set up, and then by the time like 5 years is up, like, cause like what, the 5-year deal ends in like 2030, they could sell this company to whoever wants to have it without any like roadblocks to it. And I think that's probably the game. And a lot of the complaints about the company, like as far as like booking, as far as like the fandom, I don't think that's any of this is gonna matter within this time frame, because they don't care about us.
Yeah, I mean, everything points to that. They're just trying to squeeze every last dollar of it while they can. That's why they want to expand. SummerSlam's 2 nights now. Yeah. They're going to try to expand other big events to 2 nights. The price ticket increases. Returning WrestleMania to Vegas again. They're just going to squeeze every last dollar they can out of this current generation of fan base, and then what happens 5 years from now? It's kind of be like, who cares? Like we got all the revenue we could out of them, and now it's an asset we could just get rid of if it declines.
It's gonna be fun to see. I mean, if we see those Dave LaGreca guys in like 5 years, if Busted Open if I'm surprised SiriusXM still exists as an entity, but just to see like all these, like, the annoying part of WWE besides the booking is the weird online fandom towards it, with all the influencers, the podcasters, the people with radio shows who pump it up, and like, just, it's like a weird form of like sports washing, because like it's glee for this company that's pretty gross. If you think, like, I know we talked about it earlier, the company's gross, but these people love to have the access to the wrestlers because it gets them views, it gets them a little bit of revenue on like their ads that they're selling on their YouTube or on their podcast. By the way, I do not have any ads on this podcast, but if you want to have access to the best free newsletter, go to socialsuplex.com and subscribe to their newsletter. It's completely free, 100%. Socialsuplex.com. Anyway, if you're like seriously considering WWE from a moral aspect, I mean, that's a zero-sum game. There's no, they don't care, they don't have morals. There's nothing about that. The only thing that these people worship is, to quote The Simpsons, the almighty dollar, the almighty dollar. And as long as they're making this money, as long as this revenue is coming in, they'll do whatever they want. Like, what did Cody Rhodes say? That he can't wait to turn heel because he's gonna say something that gets him canceled. And like, did you guys watch the biggest party of the summer?
I saw the main event. I saw about 3/4 of the main event.
The first main event of the night.
The second night main event.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. So, what did you think about one Jonathan Cena versus Cody Rhodes?
Jesus Christ, it was boring.
Oh man, It was a match made up of moments. It was like if you cut it up together, it's gonna make a nice little hype package. That's how they wrestled.
It was a 45-second montage spread over 25 minutes.
Yeah, they could have done this in like a 10-minute match. But
it was boring. It felt so incredibly derivative of every other WWE main event match, only done at like half speed. Like the couple of bumps that were big bumps, yeah, they were impressive, but both guys looked like they'd rather be anywhere in the world but doing that match. Cody Rhodes was like, I don't know how I want to handle this. John Cena's like at full-on Danny Glover into Lethal Weapon series level of I've got 2 days till retirement.
Yeah,
and that's every WWE like pay-per-view these days, right? It's just finisher spam and kickouts. It's stretched out to 25-minute match or longer.
And then the night before with CM Punk and Gunther, that was probably the most. I'm gonna quote Sarah from Tristan Sarah. That's like the most busy exposing match I think I've ever watched. Like when CM Punk goes up for the power bomb, and like Gunther kind of just like slows down, and it's like when you're power bombing like your little nephew in a bounce house where you're trying not to hurt them, but way less force. Like he's holding him and he just kind of drops him. He stands around on the ring waiting for CM. I know you guys love CM Punk. I know you guys are little punkers. But like, it was just the funniest part for me is because they had the issues with Goldberg because Goldberg's been complaining about his retirement, right? So at the beginning of the match, Michael Cole is saying stuff like, Gunther beat Goldberg, who was in the twilight of his career, in the last moments of his career, but right now he's gonna fight CM Punk in his prime. And I don't know if that was a rib on CM Punk, or if that was them trying to like get over that CM Punk is in his prime. CM Punk is going to be 47 this year. I don't know anybody who has their prime at 47. Maybe Ron Killings. Maybe the Great Muto. Maybe Tenryu. But I didn't see a guy in his prime there. And like every WWE pay-per-view, there's some things that are like a little bit of like, oh, okay, that was alright. But like you said, Sean, like every match is kind of like it's formulated to be for a video package. There's so many pauses, so they could like say, okay, so there's timestamps within the match. And I know like we talk about wrestling about wrestlers getting time cues from the ref, but like there's all these time cues. Okay, we're gonna hit this big spot. We're gonna have you do this. Okay, now we're gonna set you up on the elevator, John Cena. In like a spot out of like a SmackDown game, where John Cena raises up out of the Cody elevator with Cody on his shoulders, and he walks him to the ring, and I'm like, why was this not just the Pinfalls Count Anywhere match? Why did we have to go all over the arena and it not matter? But nothing matters. Doesn't matter.
Well, the good thing is that they're addressing this problem because now they're bringing in a 48-year-old who does 2 moves per match.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that should make things run much better.
Yeah, that's gonna be great because suplex after suplex after suplex, and like I thought Cody had already beaten Brock, but I guess he has to climb that mountain again, and I guess we're doing Brock and Cena again. And I thought it was pretty funny that Triple H on that day of when they canceled the press conference, he said that the choice to bring in Brock Lesnar was from John Cena. And then the next night on Raw, you had Michael Cole saying this was a done deal by Triple H and Nick Khan. And then he goes on ESPN and he says like, yeah, I made the call to Brock, and I was saying it's time to come home. So it's an ever-changing story, and I think it's like this is the company. I don't support this company, but this company does have a lot of supporters. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna judge you for watching it because I watch some terrible shit. I watch Zona 21. I watch Big Japan Pro Wrestling. I watch because Big Japan Pro Wrestling is ran by a Japanese nationalist who hates any kind of foreign involvement. So like, and people say like you can't judge what WWE is compared to other companies. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, because WWE is making actual money, and no matter what they do, they're gonna be good until they're not good. And I'm not saying they're good as in like they're a good company. I'm saying they're good as in they're actually making money, billions of money, and it's like you said, Sean. It's disheartening, but it is what it is. Um, to talk about a little bit of something else, uh, AEW is.
Well, I mean, there's no. I was gonna say
Go
there's
ahead.
just no point in talking about it any more than there is in talking about the weather at this point, because they've rendered all topics of discussion, by which I mean the ability to have like competing viewpoints and a give and take of trying to figure out something. They've rendered it all essentially moot.
Yeah,
Financially, because of what they've done, their ratings have no impact on their finances for years to come.
yeah,
Their live attendance really has very little to no impact on their finances for years to come. In terms of the product, it's a set. They're basically making long form YouTube montage videos. So how they actually book it, what they choose to book, how the matches go, is tertiary at best to the experience and to how it's able to be edited for consumption by the 95% of people whose entire exposure to WWE comes from YouTube, or I should say that of people's exposure to WWE, 95% of it is people seeing it on YouTube, and 5% of it is people actually sitting and watching the shows on a regular basis.
yeah,
I mean, look at the numbers. Their YouTube videos get 100 million views. Their show gets 1 million views.
yeah. That's
They're a company that produces content for multiple streaming services. And if you want to, it's almost like watching, like I just finished watching one of my favorite shows, Big Brother, 3 times a week. And if you're a hardcore fan of you can watch the feeds and be watching the show 24 hours a day, which is kind of at this point what those fans who watch 3 hours of Raw or SmackDown or whatever the show links are at this point. Those are the hardcore fans. Most people, though, are just watching the really short, easy to digest, cut up version, which is essentially like the Big Brother TV show. 1 hour in and out, boom, done. You get a 5-second clip of each important happening. So I hate seeing, like, I'm happy to come on and torch the fact that they're an immoral, terrible company who is in bed with tyrants and the worst people in the universe and serial rapists. But in terms of an actual topic of discussion, it's like you might as well say, hey, what do you think about snow? Well, it snows sometimes in winter. Yeah. Yes, it does.
I honestly think the discussion that we've had right now is probably the most interesting discussion I've heard from anybody, because like at this point, like what more can you say than what we've just laid out? And it's all moot. And you know, like a lot of things happened since we last talked. Like, you know, Hulk Hogan passed away. I found it, you know, uh, other people did better podcasts about like his legacy, his infamy, and all that. And I'm just gonna say, when I was a kid, and I watched WCW, and I heard, "He's American made," I popped. And that's all I can say about him. He was a racist. Yeah, he was. He helped destroy WCW. Yeah, he never really put people over in a way where they got showcased as the guy. Except the only guy that did that from him was probably Brock Lesnar, and he's lucky that the rematch never happened. Allegedly, they were gonna do a rematch when he was Mr. America, but it didn't happen, and you know, whatever. But like when it comes to like when we talk about like figures like Hulk Hogan, disgraced, when we talk about a figure like Ric Flair, walking the joke now about Ric Flair is he goes into bars, gets drunk, and poops himself, and apparently this has been on the North Carolina Charlotte Reddit about Ric Flair coming in and pooping himself. And like every time I talk to people, it's like like even my wife said, "Isn't wasn't he your hero you were a kid?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I was a kid. I didn't know really anything." And like when I think about putting wrestlers on like this pedestal of like, wow, what a great whatever, I was like, yeah, I guess they entertain me as characters. Well, like I put like Hulk Hogan on the same kind of thing as like Buck Strickland from like King of the Hill. Really good character, entertain me, and that's all he was. If if we are gonna hold like everybody accountable for what they've done, it's like okay, then there's no point, and that's why I never try to hold people on a pedestal for like character wise. If they're a celebrity, if they're a wrestler, if they're an athlete, if they're a politician, especially, there's like there's everybody's gonna have skeletons in their closet. Everybody's gonna whatever, but like what people say about Benoit, about him being in the Wrestling Observer News Hall of Fame, it's like, yeah, he did all that stuff, but man, he could really do a dragon suplex. Yeah, that's
So
what I
two
have to say about Hulk Hogan and his passing away.
two things. One, it's hard to be a wrestling fan because if you like wrestlers, they're almost certainly going to disappoint you. Not everyone can be as lucky as to be a fan of a moral, upstanding, socially aware wrestler like Mr. Phil Brooks, as I am. And secondly, a very important question for you gentlemen. Do you think when Ric Flair goes into a bar and soils himself, do you think that he stands there and goes,
Ah, God. Ah, God. I gotta get myself a pair of new pants. Ooh.
I'm very proud of the fact that I've done stupid things in my life, and I've held some terrible positions in my
Yeah.
time. I once voted libertarian, so
Oof.
I'm certainly not someone who's always made the right choices. But I am proud of the fact that in 1987, I hated Hulk Hogan when he beat Andre. I hated Hulk Hogan in 1994 when he went to WCW. I hated Hulk Hogan when he came back and fought The Rock at WrestleMania 18. I hated Hulk Hogan when he started becoming a Trumper and a MAGA guy. And I hated Hulk Hogan on the day that his ugly, orange, racist, MAGA-loving, skank-ass, union-busting self passed into the ground, and I'd like to piss on his grave if I ever go by it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that needs to be said. Hulk Hogan or Terry Boella, he was a terrible person, a terrible human being. He was a racist, an unapologetic racist. And yeah, I have to, just because he died, I don't have to feel sorry for him or
Yeah.
care about him anyway. Yeah, and I just I never cared about him in that. I was never a Hogan guy. I was I was a Savage guy over Hogan always.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I just never held Hogan in that high esteem. He wasn't really a part of my childhood as a lot of people's. So yeah, he was a racist. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. The only one I feel bad for in all this, I mean, I feel bad for his kids. Well, one of them, because they brought out Nick Hogan and apparently they never put the hand out for Brooke, maybe because she's too woke. But yeah, that's a whole thing, and family drama add on to that, and like just like in a little bit of lighter news, because we're talking about wrestling. If there was a Rhodes who had a really good street fight, that would be Dustin Rhodes, and they call him the Natural. And I really did like his little death match that he had with Kyle Fletcher when he did the Shattered Dreams and kicked the tacks in his balls, and the tacks flew out of his little panties, and I thought that was cool. That's probably my recommendation of the week, is to watch that. And if we're gonna talk about pro wrestling, I think in 2025 there's been this kind of like trend lately. We've had champions who are in their 40s or in their later stage of their career in pretty much a lot of the major companies. Not AEW, they had Mox. He's like 39. He's not 40 yet. We had Goto as the IWGP World Champion. We had John Cena as WWE champion, we had, I mean, CM Punk won the title for 5 minutes, but like, even if we go to like smaller federations, we had in Dragon Gate, the Elder Statesman Yamato had the belt, and even in Noah, they're like I was talking with this about Che. So Noah this year they kind of started off the new year with Ozawa as the world champion. Ozawa, a young guy, he was kind of like he actually brought business back to Noah, and he was drawing for them. But once they were able to bring back Kenta, Noah did Noah things and put the belt on an old guy again, which is, this is tradition for Noah. Whether it was putting the belt back on Kobashi or Misawa or Taue or, even putting it on Yuji Nagata. This is what they love to do. They love to take the belt from a young guy and give it to an old guy. So what do you, I know you had some thoughts on this, Che, so what's up?
It's just. I checked out the Kenta Kano match because people were talking about it. I'm probably down on it than the general public. I thought it was a nice maybe 3.5 star match. I thought it was fine. I don't see any. People are saying Kenta's back. He's not washed anymore, and I still see like a old guy past his prime. Who got a good match.
Yeah.
But I would just like to see promotions try to go younger than just bring old guys back and do like a nostalgia run.
Yeah, I brought up Yamato earlier, but he just lost the belt to Shun, and then they're building to a match at Dangerous Gate with Shun and Kikuta, who's also part of the Reiwa generation. And Dragon Gate seems to be like the only company that really cares about building their young guys.
And Kikuta is young. Yeah, he's what, 20, 26, 25? So
yeah. And Shun is like 29. So it's like
pushed at a young age.
It's funny that that's the young guys they're pushing it, as if, because like the big discussion about the G1 is like the G1's supposed to be for like the Reiwa guys, but like the only Reiwa guy that's kind of guaranteed a playoff spot is Ren Narita, sold out. And when we're recording this, which is August 7th, the night, the today, if Tanahashi beats Evil, Tsuji is out of the playoffs. So it's kind of crazy. People had all these predictions.
Tsuji he's actually third. The top 3 make the playoffs this year.
Yeah. So
Tsuji is listed as third right now.
Yeah. If Tanahashi beats Evil, then he's out, which is pretty funny. Or he could mathematically be in. I don't know. G1 match.
I think a lot of things would have to go his way. But yeah, Tsuji is them not pushing Tsuji is a big example of a big problem within the promotion, right? Because they should have pushed him probably a couple years ago. And now it's a promotion with really no star attraction, no draw. The Goto thing was a nice story, but you can only draw so much with an aging Goto at this stage of his career.
Yeah, look at the attendance figures for like the past couple of shows. It's the lowest it's been in like since 2020. Since 2020, they did lower numbers compared to 2020 G1. You know how insane that is for the business to be that down? And I know like we put the blame on like whoever's champion. The champion is Zack Sabre Jr. And he has a lot of friends in this podcasting world, so they don't want to bury him. But I mean, come on.
I like Zack Sabre Jr. But is he the guy who can carry New Japan as like the star? The business metrics say no.
Yeah.
Not that he's had great people to work with. They pairing him with a Wrestle Kingdom main event with with Shota Umino, who me and Sean we saw live in April.
Yeah.
And I think I think the takeaway from that was he's just has no charisma. He's just the charismaless void. He's just kind of there, and he doesn't even seem interested in being there.
Yeah,
He's regressed.
it's
We
so
saw him
weird.
a couple of years ago, and he was. I mean, admittedly, he was working against Ospreay, or no, he was working.
Jack Perry.
Yeah, he was working against Ospreay that night, wasn't he?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but still, he's regressed in terms of energy, in terms of spark, in terms of movement. It's just all like, ugh. He's become beige as hell.
Yeah, like his compatriot is Narita, and Narita he's not really a main eventer, but as a mid carder he's fully formed as a mid carder, and you compare their acts, and like Narita is just there, and like all this to say is like I am hopeful for New Japan to give us something for Wrestle Kingdom, and like this and then this G1 kind of also, it always leads into Forbidden Door. I mean, well, it doesn't lead into this is the first time the G1 led into Forbidden Door, and like it's kind of crazy that there's nothing really for Forbidden Door built on the New Japan side.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, it's pretty much an all AEW card at the moment, and the sad thing is nobody really seems to care that there's nothing new announced for New Japan side, because there's not a drawing, star in New Japan. In the past it'd be like, oh, we get to see Okada or Naito or
I mean, we will see Okada, but it's kind of AEW Okada, so it's like kind of a push.
Yeah, that's true. He's not. I mean, he's firmly like an AEW guy now. So I mean, he's fighting, Swerve for an AEW belt as the reigning champ. Apparently, I guess they announced Tanahashi is going to be at Forbidden Door. So I guess I was wrong. They do have one New Japan wrestler announced, but yeah, it's just, I mean, compared to what the original Forbidden Door was, where everyone was excited about the crossover, it's just that not only is there not much New Japan announced yet, it just nobody really seems to care that there's no New Japan. It's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, and like it's sort of like you have all these options. They had all these options for like since 2023, and they never hit on any of them, which Sean knows as a degenerate gambler. Like, when you got a hot hand, you have to play that hot hand. And the hot hand for me in 2023 was Tsuji coming back from excursion, and he should have beat Sonata that first night. He should have beat him, but we're 2 years out from there, and nobody's really made any forward progression.
Yeah, Gato was too busy trying to make Sonata or Evil a thing, and
yeah, and
so that's why they're in their state that they're in now.
I find it funny because I think today Naito had an interview, and he was talking about how he would love to work with or against Okada, and part of the whole New Japan not making anybody new is these guys, Okada and Naito, they left and they didn't make anybody on there when they left. I think the one guy they made was Sonata, because they had both lost to him. Because Naito lost to him in the G1 finals, and then Okada lost to him in like the Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then like it's just like this is what we have to work with, and it's kind of sad that their only reason that they're like this is their own fault. But like, you deserve it. And like, when I think about like the new guys in AEW, and like one of them is Takeshita, and that's one guy that's also the one guy that's sort of built in New Japan, because like he's the only one that really got that big dominant victory over Tanahashi outside of the G1. Like in a special singles match, he beat him in the main event, and like
we were there.
Yeah, and like Takeshita is, I mean, he's signed to the company, but for all intents and purposes, he's an AEW guy. And according to like Tony, they want to have him as a long-term. They have long-term plans for him. So like,
yeah, he's on a triple contract, but I'm gonna guess his AEW contract is more than his New Japan and DDT contract combined.
Yeah, because what more can you do with a guy who's gonna be putting AEW as his priority. They're gonna put they put the belt on him, and then Tony's gonna say, "Oh, I need him. He can't go to Japan. I'm gonna need him," just like what he did with Mox. Because
I mean,
what are you gonna do?
What they gotta do, obviously, I mean, they gotta really move on from Gato, and it's not working with him anymore. They gotta go in a different direction creatively, and his time has come, and they probably should have moved on from him a while ago, but now they're in this position. So I know there was a rumor that that Tony Khan was telling people that Gato was going to be fired like after Forbidden Door or around that time or something, but then that was also like kind of debunked. But I don't know, we'll see if what happens, but they can't keep going in this direction where there seems to be no direction to elevate any young talent, and the Booker just seems to be past his prime.
Yeah, it's really hard to get amped about something when there's like usually around this G1 time where you're going to like the playoffs and finals. Like last year, I think I was pretty much more excited than I am this year. The work in the G1's been okay. It's been pretty good. There's been some good matches, but like it's why am I getting the most hype out of Yoshihashi and Taichi?
The G1 used to be a tournament where you could expect a few match of the year contenders.
Yeah. And
I'm still dealing with the fact that we just pointed out that you have Okada and Naito, two of the three biggest stars in your company of the last decade plus, and you use them to put over one guy, and that's Sonata, which is essentially going to McDonald's and buying a Happy Meal, opening it up, finding a genie in the box, rubbing it out. Sorry. But yeah, rubbing it, having him say, "Hey, you get one wish," and you say, "Hey, can I get a Happy Meal?"
Yeah, it's
like, my God.
Yeah, that's just I like Sonata. I like Seiya freaking Sonata. I like that his new gimmick is being Seth Rollins.
How much different would we look at some of these Reiwa guys who have not seemingly been as good if they had wins over Okada, over Naito, if they'd been given that push? I mean, part of it is that, some of these guys are just duds, but some of it is you can't really tell what a guy's potential is until you push him past it, or at least up to it.
Yeah, the stupid part is Bushiroad also owns Stardom, and they got rid of all the old people. I mean, Mina Shirakawa, she's like 37. And Joshi years, that makes her a grandma. Tam Nakano turns 36 this year. So they got rid of most of all the old, I'm sorry to use this word, old hags. That's the word that my favorite.
He said it, not us.
My favorite rest of the year, Saya Kamatani. That's what she calls them, old hags. And they moved towards the younger people, the younger wrestlers who are all in their 20s. They all look like pop idols. They're all young. Like how media in general love young, poppy, happy-looking women and presenting them on television. That's what Stardom is doing. Even like bringing in a Bozilla who's like only 20 years old, and like these are the people that they're building around. The Azumi, Starlight Kid, Saya Kamatani. Like these are all people that are going to be part of your company for like maybe the next 5-6 years, and they're going to get the new people over.
And that goes into what I was talking about. It's creative direction. I mean, Stardom has a competent booker who's elevating young talent, and they're doing some of the best business in their history.
Yeah, it's pretty. Thank you for joining us again. We were just discussing the problem with age in pro wrestling, and I believe that the problem right now when it comes to New Japan, even like AEW, is the age of the wrestlers that they're putting on top. And like even like in WWE, what they used to have is we used to have a guy that was the top guy, and he was like usually 30 or 32, and that was like usually like his fourth year on top. When they usually got put on top when they're 27, and we're not even seeing that nowadays. Now people are being called young guys at 38, and that's pretty weird to me.
Nobody studies the past. Nobody thinks about anything, because if you look back at pretty much the entirety of wrestling history, do you know how many big wrestling booms and how many big promotional popularity spikes were generated by pushing an old group of people or a group of guys who are very familiar and very much have been around for a long time? Do you know how many? One single time. Any other time that you've ever seen wrestling get hot, here, Japan, Mexico to an extent, but Mexico's its own weird thing, which I don't have enough exposure to speak to. And
I'll
but
speak,
in America and Japan, it's
yeah.
when young people get pushed is when booms happen.
Yeah.
Even as much as I hate Hogan, I watched the original unedited clip, like not from the WWE Vault, but the original broadcast of Hogan winning the title from the Iron Sheik. I watched that a couple days ago, and the energy that is generated from the second he emerges until through the entire thing is insane. And you look, and that's all the kind of thing that only happens on a regular basis with young people. Go back and watch the Von Erichs in Texas. Even in your favorite Japanese promotion, when young people get pushed is when people get interested who haven't been before.
Yeah.
But we just keep trying to push for 39, 40. I mean, like all those names we were talking about, even the guys who don't seem that old. Seth Rollins, going to be 40. John Moxley, going to be 40.
Cody is 40.
Main man Phil, Cody 40, Phil 47, Brock 48, John Cena however old.
Cope and Christian, the Hurt Syndicate, all of them are 48, 49, 50.
Now, to be fair, those guys are mid-carders.
Oh, yeah. Well, for now, Cope is a mid-carder, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, if they try to strap him up, I'd be like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, Seth Rollins, he's not that old. He's 39, but he's been on TV for like 12, 13 years. Like, you know, he's been a staple of being on WWE programming for like the last 12, 13 years. So he's been on TV forever. So he's just been a constant in WWE programming. It's like when you look at the last boom period of like the Attitude Era, like the Stone Cold and The Rock they were not in that. Their runs were fairly short. In that era, like, you know, they just kind of came and had a boom, and then they kind of went away.
Yeah, because
and Austin was in his early 30s.
Yeah,
The Rock was in his 20s.
Yeah,
Triple H was young. It's always with young people that you get the push.
The old man was Undertaker, and Undertaker was only 36.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's one night. Che and I were discussing AEW over some delicious galbi and bulgogi.
Oh,
and
take me there, man.
the question came up, what would you do? Like, if someone gives you the book in AEW, because this was during the period where things were kind of spiraling, was a little bit lost.
Yeah.
But in general, I said, you know what I would do? I would say, if you're over the age of 35, you are not winning another match for the next 2 years until your contract runs out, and then we're thanking you, handing you a gold watch, and letting you go. You could pick maybe one guy, two guys maybe, who are in that 35 to early 40s group. They can still stay pushed, so you pick Kenny Omega maybe. Otherwise, every person on that roster whose wrestling career started during the Obama administration or earlier should be losing constantly to younger guys, should be giving the push to younger guys. Anyone who's been around since in it for a decade, they're done. Their drawing power has been squeezed and tapped and you're now trying to get blood from a stone that's already gone to the blood bank.
Yeah, it's been kind of stupid for me to watch AEW try and be a little bit of a nostalgia company, because at when they were founded, I mean, Jericho was the champion, but he was sort of a joke champion. They treated him like as like a relic, and like when you had Moxley and Omega represent like the modern wrestling era, because like 6 years ago that's a long time. People don't understand. 6 years is a long time. 6 years ago, the first big feud in AEW was John Moxley versus Kenny Omega, and at that time it was a big deal because you have the top guy in New Japan fighting the top guy from WWE, and they were like in their mid-30s, and they were still a big deal, and like the ratings reflected that, the attendance reflected that, and
also,
like
when John Moxley was champion for the first time in AEW, he was on WWE television, but when he came to AEW, he was John Moxley. He wasn't playing Dean Ambrose all over again. He was effectively a different character. He was presented a different way, so he was fresh. It wasn't a rehash of some stale WWE act.
Yeah. He also had
he had 5 years of TV time only at that point.
5 years of TV time at that time, and then before Dynamite started, he had that freaking run in the G1 where he proved to everybody that I can work. I'm not just the WWE guy throwing cat slaps. I can actually work a G1, and I can be believable as this guy. But again, that was 6 years ago. And then 6 years later, we have him in the main event with Hangman. Hangman won the belt like in 2021. There's Swerve, there's an Ospreay, there's a Fletcher, there's Takeshita. One of the big things for me right now is Bandito. That guy's like only like 30, and like he's having an amazing year. And you kind of like have an embarrassment of riches as far as talent goes. And like the problem when you have like these older legacy talents from like the bygone eras is you have people, you're telling TV executives, hey, I have this name, he was a big name, he was in WWE, he was in whatever, and he was a big draw 10 years ago. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. That's not right now. And I think they wasted so much time not pushing a Hangman, and like it's sort of like, I mean, it's cool that he's got the belt again, but he's on 35. He's 35 now. So like, I know like in wrestling, because of all the medicine advances and medical stuff, people last longer, their knees last longer. Just look at the NBA, look at LeBron, he's still there. He shouldn't be, god damn it. But like, as a side, as a Lakers fan, I don't want to be.
Possibly, at least in a North American-based company, he's probably the breakout star in American wrestling of this year. I mean, I think AEW, they're at a uptick creatively, and the fans are happy. We're kind of past that dreadful 2023 period, and we're clicking. To your point, they do still need to kind of think about the next wave and kind of push along the next wave, and that'd be like your Kyle Fletcher, your Banditos, and in the women's division too. They got to start thinking about like pushing like a Queen Amanita,
Willow,
someone
Chris,
someone next to kind of take the mantle from the main eventers they have now. So I mean, you can never stop. You always have to think about who's next. When you run a promotion, you can't just AEW just can't sit back at this period and be like, oh, we're in a good place. We got big popular names throughout our roster that the fans like Hangman, Swerve, Ospreay. But you gotta still think about the next generation, and they gotta start pushing those people, and to their credit, they are doing that right now. The Fletcher's getting a lot of attention. Jet Speed, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey are getting a lot of attention, and Bandito himself is getting a lot of attention. So they are doing that. So hopefully it continues, and and we see this momentum going, and they continue to kind of grow in business. You know, they had a really big TV number come out today. So
yes, 7-11, and that's just the cable numbers. When you add the prospective streaming numbers, I think they said like that's between 200 to 250 to 300. That's a big number. And like, I'm not saying that Hangman has to lose now, or Hangman should be whatever. I'm just saying like, you have these guys, Hangman, Swerve, Ospreay, and you know Ospreay has shown the Ospreay and Swerve has shown the willingness to pull people up, and I think it does say something that MJF and Hangman are the main program right now, and the show long story about promos between them, it's working. And this is two guys who are contemporaries, and they're looking to feud for the title, and the audience is wanting to watch. And I commend AEW for that. For as much as I say I dislike MJF as a talent, I can't deny like that the audience wants to watch this stuff. So, good job. You know, who am I?
I think the women's division, we need to particularly kind of give AEW its credit for. And sort of note how strong their future is, in that your most over person possibly on the entire roster, Toni Storm's 29, Willow Nightingale's 31, Mercedes is 33, Athena's the elder statesman of the division, she's 36. So I mean, all of these people, they're in their primes, and they have a good 5 years where you can put them on top, cycling them from top card to upper mid card without getting that been there, done that vibe.
Yeah, I'm very excited about their women's division based on the talent they have, and like it's all new people for TV. It's people that haven't been on TV for like years, like, and it's exciting. It's young. It's energetic. It's something to get excited about, and hopefully one day they can main event a pay-per-view. You know.
And that's kind of, I mean, like I know I was talking earlier about like people of a certain age you shouldn't push, but that's because really until the last couple of years, anyone who has been around for a long while had been on TV for a long while in AEW.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of WWE signings, a lot of just random people who've been around and done the circuit over and over. You're seeing now people who, even if they're a little older, Adam Page 35, Athena 36,
Ricochet,
their TV age is still relatively young. The public hasn't spent years watching them in the main events of shows, in the top cards of shows, and getting exposed to them for 20 minutes every week for 4 or 5 years at a time.
Yeah,
that's
Athena.
That's the key.
And Athena and Toni Storm aren't. They were never pushed X in WWE, so it's like they're fresh faces in AEW since they were never really used in any importance in WWE. The only person on the AEW women's roster that is Mercedes Moné, but you know Mercedes Moné is arguably the greatest American women's wrestler of all time. So
she's only 33.
And I don't even think there's an arguably to be added to that.
Yeah. So I don't think she can. You can't really overexpose her at this point since she's.
This is when you push her. This is when you take that person and you push them as much as you can and get everything you can out of them, and then in a year or two, you start cycling up that next generation after Mercedes, after Tony have had their runs, after Athena's had her run. Then you can start cycling in the next generation, the Statlanders, the Aminadas, the whomever they might pull in going forward. But right now, they have young people who are at the moment when they need to be pushed, and they're pushing them.
And Mercedes was never pushed to this degree in WWE. People forget, they would give her the women's Raw title or whatever, but then it'd be like a 25-day run. Like it was. Yeah. They would just play hot potato with the belt when they had her, and it was it was never like a sustained push, and not anything she's getting now in AEW. So, that's it's definitely a different usage than she got in WWE. Even though she was a star there. So it just goes to show that these aren't tired acts. In the women's side, there's no like tired acts that have just been mainstays in American TV programming for like the last 10 years, and that's why the division feels fresh and something different.
It's good. It's good stuff. Like I think it's funny that we're talking about Stardom and the AEW Women's Division as being the most exciting things to watch because of all the progression and all the people that are in their prime working. And like it's good, man. It's good to have change year by year, because if I'm looking at WWE, the change within like the last 5 years has been like not really much, and it's kind of funny that they're getting the guys back that they started to release like 5 years ago, and it's just like we said, it doesn't matter anyways in WWE, but it does matter in these other wrestling companies, because they're trying to build something. They're trying to build a legacy of wrestlers. They're trying to build like what the wrestling house style is going to be. And if we're talking about 6 years in with AEW, that's a really impressive rate of growth to be valued like at $2 billion within that 6 years, and to get all these TV deals, to get the streaming deal, all that's very impressive. And I really do hope they do move forward from this older talent. I know like the whole big story is like guys like Hurt Syndicate don't want to put people over, but like if I look at the tag division before this tournament, they weren't bothering doing anything with anybody in there, and like this tournament was the first time they really did a little bit of something. So it's just like, you give the belts to an overact when there's nothing else to be done. And my whole thing with Hurt Syndicate is they're in the mid card. Doesn't matter. They're in the mid card. They're in the tag team division, and the tag team division at this point doesn't mean anything. And that's due to the booking. That's not due to the talent. And that's how I always feel about stuff. When stuff is not hitting, it's because of the stories that are being told. And I hate saying that storytelling and all this stuff, but it's just like, it's true. If I got like these good matches with great talent that I like to watch, then I'll be happy to watch it. And that's the kind of wrestling I like. I like to watch guys I like on TV fight each other.
You mentioned that the power bomb on Punk from Gunther was the most business exposing thing you'd ever seen.
Yes.
All I can think is that if I end up watching Mike Bailey beat Bobby Lashley at some point in the near future using anything other than at least 2 or 3 different shotguns, I think that takes the cake for that.
Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna tell this story. Okay. So PWG 2013, 2014, I'm at the live show, right? I go to take a piss in the urinal, the public restroom. I go in there. Who's in there? Mike Bailey in his gear, barefoot. Okay, whatever. I walk back to my seat.
Was there at least tape on his feet or anything? Was his feet just raw dogging that bathroom floor?
Yeah.
That's just gross.
Yeah. So
I'm so not happy right now.
So he comes and he does his entrance. I'm saying this because the guys at Social Suplex were kind of mad at me, like, "Oh, how are you saying this is gross?" But this is my truth. This is why I dislike Mike Bailey. So I go back to my seat. I was like, and then Mike Bailey's Brass Monkey, that song plays. He's coming out. I'm sitting there. I'm clapping my hands, and his gimmick is he gives high fives with his feet, right? So I'm standing there clapping, and like he touches my hand, touches his foot, and that's it for my fandom of Mike Bailey. That's it. Because I saw him walk barefoot in the public restroom, and then he gave my hand a foot 5, and that was it for my fandom. And from that point on, that's why I personally dislike Mike Bailey. It has nothing to do with his wrestling. Fine, flippy, kicky guy, whatever. But him touching my hand with that barefoot ruined any chance of me really giving him a chance. And I wanted to tell that story. If this gets back to him, I'm sorry, man. You touched me with your barefoot, and I once
had to shake the hand of a billionaire who I knew used to go to the bathroom and not wash his hands.
Yes.
And doing it made me very unhappy and very sad, but I had no choice in the matter.
Yeah. I did not give consent to have a foot 5 with my hand. I just want to say that. And like, you know, I appreciate having you guys on here, having this talk, because, you know, it's very hard to come across like people who have intelligent discussions about pro wrestling, because of so many people just brush it off like it's this stupid thing. I mean, it is a stupid thing, but it's nice to talk with people who have, you know, solid brains, good information, and are informed about other things besides, you know, like, it's just great. And I love having you guys on. I love having the Chicagoans on. And like, what's been good with you guys?
Yeah, just not much has been new, but you know, things. Well, it's just life, I guess, right?
It's 9:30 Central in Chicago, and I'm still working, so that should tell you how this day's going.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you guys for coming on and like for humoring me and like allowing me to have you guys share this time. And I think like it's very important to get this kind of discussion out there when it comes to the wrestling business, because a lot of the times people wrap their own like personal biases and try to stand on high moral ground about stuff. So I'm sure this podcast will probably piss somebody off, and you know they'll try to.
I hope so.
I hope so, because you get pissed off and you start to think, and then like you realize, I guess they're right. It's better to be pissed off and to make people think about it than to people just to turn their brains off.
Also, better to be pissed off than pissed on.
Yes, it is.
By Mike Bailey's pissy feet.
Oh God, yeah. So like, he had to like walk around the urinal, and you know, like you go to a urinal in a men's restroom, it's usually very sticky for a reason, because people can't get all the way to the toilet. So for him to be walking around barefoot, yeah, it just. Sorry, Mike. I'm sorry to put this out there. Not really, because I want people to know that when you're giving them that foot 5, you are walking around barefoot in that locker room. And then you go out there to the audience and you're giving all these people holding out their hands for a foot 5 all excited, and you're touching those gross feet. And on that note, I want to thank you guys for coming on again. And I want to ask you guys, do you have a good recommendation for Chicago when it comes to cooling off?
Don't go outside.
Yeah, don't go outside if it's too hot. Just stay inside and enjoy this beautiful air conditioning.
Yeah.
Or go down to Lake Michigan and enjoy the view of the most beautiful skyline in the world at one of our many lovely beaches.
Okay. Yeah. Gotta love those Chicago beaches. Again, man, thank you guys for coming on, and I appreciate you. I don't know if you guys have anything to plug, really. I mean, go to voicesofwrestling.com, search Sean Flynn in the search bar, and you'll find Sean's a couple of raw reviews from like 8 years ago. But
8 to 10 years ago, you'll find some of the work I've done for the Wrestling 101 project. All sorts of random things will pop up on this site that I've written, and at least half of them I won't disavow if you point them out to me.
Oh yeah. And I want to thank Sean for joining us on the best Asian American episodic pro wrestling podcast, the Dr. Chariot. And thank you for joining us, man.
Take care, guys.